Hi, I'm Lara Wallace. Welcome back to the Bass Capital Radio podcast. Today, I'm here with Miss Christina Marie from the C-GypSea Art Studio out in Crescent City. Thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
I'm very excited to have a full-length episode with you. You were actually my first sit-down as I was roaming in the wild. I think I still have that footage and have to tweak that a little bit, but it'll go in our special content there. But you have been in my life in many ways since I met you, whether it be through the art scene or our intentions of one day we'll have a market, a fresh fruits and veggies market down here, which is very similar to what you've got going on in Crescent City. So kudos to you for that.
Thank you.
But you're required to answer one question before we get started, which is, tell me how you ended up in Putnam County.
It was all by accident.
I
was a full-time artist in the Florida Keys right up until Hurricane Irma hit, and I decided to leave the Keys and wanted to make my way north and see if I couldn't dabble in the art scene in St. Augustine a little bit, get some new creative juices flowing. I ended up finding a house to rent here in the Northern Historic District of Palatka, fell in love with the area. Because the people were so kind mostly. I felt right at home and started going to Florida School of the Arts just because it was here, and opened a studio shortly thereafter in San Mateo, and have since made my way to Crescent City and opened a studio there as well.
I love it. I love that. You are not the first person who said they ended up here by accident. This is the best accident I feel like you could have, is ended up in Putnam County. And again, the people are always a remarkable resource in our community. It really does feel like, I've heard people say that it's very inclusive in Putnam County, and I beg to differ. I feel like we are very welcoming. Again, everywhere you go, you're going to have a one-off, right?
Yeah.
But people are so loving and warm here.
Very much so. I'm born and raised in South Florida, in a town called Hollywood. It's a town nestled between Fort Lauderdale and Miami. And, I was born and raised there. So was my father. And then I moved to the Keys, lived there for about 5 years. And it wasn't until at almost 50 years old that I ended up in Putnam County and finally felt at home. Simply because of the people, being at a grocery store or walking along the river and a lady sitting and having a conversation with me. She just felt like a long lost aunt. So Putnam County kind of stole my heart in a way.
I think that it is a magical experience to be able to walk down the road, because I travel, I go other places, and I don't ever quite feel the same, because there's still people. I mean, people are moving in, people are moving out, so there's a lot of traffic in Putnam County, but I meet new people all the time, and everybody's so willing to chat. And the riverfront, I really love seeing when there are families out there playing, somebody's drinking coffee, doing art, whatever brings them down there. So that's amazing. You went to the School of the Arts, Flow Arts, and I feel like that's in itself a hidden treasure in Putnam County. There's so many talented artists.
It's unbelievable. I was, when I was just driving around the town and found it on accident, and that's when I decided to apply and audition and see how I could. Of course, I'm the same age as the professors mostly, but it was an amazing experience. And then when I started going to that school, I was like, okay, that's why the universe led me here. Or because although I was making a living as an artist since 2015, after I left a career as a paralegal and jumped into the art scene, I was just self-taught. I didn't have any training, so Flow Arts helped me expand my creativity, because not only was I only experienced in painting, but they have ceramics and woodworking and just some amazing teachers there, and it was just an incredible experience. And I went there through until COVID, and then COVID hit and we switched to online classes. And I like going in person better,
For sure.
So but anyhow, it's an incredible program, and I'm a big advocate. Everyone I meet that comes into my studio with children or in high school, I remind them that we have flow arts here in town, and it's a great school for the arts.
Well, you're somewhat of an ambassador then.
I guess in a way, yeah.
I did not know that you had no formal education. So what started
Not
your,
in art,
yeah.
no. I went to school for legal assisting, and in my internship in my early 20s, or even, about 20, I was hired by the law firm that I interned with and worked with that attorney for a little over 10 years, and then opened and started a construction company, ran that for a little over a decade, and then worked for a second attorney. And so I have a career as a paralegal and a businesswoman, so to say, in a way. And the art thing just kind of came out of nowhere.
Well, it's very deceiving because you don't look like you could be more than 35. You,
Thank you.
whatever your secret is, we need to know that.
Well, I do have a yoga studio.
Okay, that's it. Yoga. I hear yoga does keep you not only youthful but helps you focus. So that's something I probably could use some yoga in
Yeah,
my
we
life.
all could.
um, what made you make that transition? Because that really is, I would say, a stark difference. Art kind of is in every facet of your life, whether it's sitting down to a table that somebody designed or walking into a building. But how did you go from paralegal to artist?
Well, I always was, I always admired art. I was always intrigued by art. I enjoy going to museums. I have friends that are artists. Never thought that I was. I went to a class similar to the type that I teach now, and with a girlfriend, and I posted a picture of my painting online, and a friend of mine who was an artist told me I should start painting, gifted me some art supplies, and that's when I started painting when I was still paralegaling.
Hmm.
At the time, I'm a mother of three, and my children were out of the home. And at that time, I scaled my career back to 3 days a week, moved to the beach, continued to paint just in my free time as a way of almost a therapy. Um, and I posted a picture of my painting online in a local group just to share. Um, and someone bought it in Texas. And when I sold that painting, a light bulb went off, and then my business mind sparked. And shortly thereafter, I think probably within a month, I resigned from my job
Wow.
and jumped in pretty much feet first into the art world. And here I am. So I feel like in a way, I really can't explain it. It was all just divinely, it just happened in such divine timing. And it's obviously what I'm supposed to do in
I
life.
would not argue that point.
Yes.
I think it's interesting that how life kind of pushes you that way. I just celebrated the big 4-0, and I've always, even as a child, and this may be surprising to some of you, I love to talk, and it's and it's not just. I mean, sometimes I do just talk because that's what comes natural, but I really have a passion for people
Hmm.
and bringing people together in ways that are meaningful. This the podcast is a culmination of all the things I've ever wanted to do. I'm homegrown Putnam County. I There's so many things that I'm interested in. Art is obviously a
Hmm.
big passion for me. Music, volunteerism, just understanding the history, fun facts, whatever it is, and being able to never looking back, especially looking to my future, did I think, oh, I'm going to have the opportunity to not only work all day long talking and networking people, because when we have these dialogues, I'm able to not only bring to the people I know, but our viewers are going to
Hmm.
watch this and be able to connect in maybe a way that they didn't know
Right.
was an opportunity. So again,
Hmm.
destination was never meant to be here, but I'm so thankful for that. And I
Yeah.
love when life pushes you to where you're really supposed to be.
Yes.
And I'm thankful that you ended up in Putnam County with your skill set. You said you started by painting. Was it acrylics or was it?
Yep, acrylic on canvas. As I mentioned, lived on the beach, so I just started painting the sky and the ocean and the beach, and um, just continued to delve in more and whatever came to mind. Anything from mermaids, sea turtles to weird, funky Buddha faces, and whatever. As an artist, you just paint what you feel. I kind of just go with the flow. I don't have a,
Exactly.
sometimes it's little woodland creatures or it's topless mermaids, and others like
I dig
whatever
it.
flows.
Whatever comes to mind.
Yeah.
Well, that makes a lot of sense then why your studio is C-GypSea.
Yeah, some friends of mine coined me that many years ago,
I dig it.
just because, I love the beach. I lived on an island. We've always had boats. Always have had vacation homes in the Keys. So always back and forth and traveling. And then just some friends coined it. And then when I branded my company, I just stuck with it. It was kind of fitting for a traveling artist and for what I do. A lot of my paintings at the beginning were very island inspired and island themed. So it kind of went with the brand. And I just ran with it pretty much.
Yay, friends, for helping you nail
Exactly.
that.
Yeah.
Were your parents involved in art?
No, no. My parents were. My father was a firefighter, lieutenant. My mother worked in the healthcare industry for her whole career, and no. I mean, I grew up in dance and as a child, so mom kept me active in that manner. But as far as visual arts, no. Mm-mm.
So it just kind of you were born that way.
Ah,
It's just
well,
in
I
you.
didn't pick up a paintbrush until 2015 was the first time,
Wow.
and I just
You
ran
are
with it.
very talented. I just,
I,
oh,
I,
I
I
love it.
thank you.
Yeah.
There's not being an artist is just being yourself. Being your raw, authentic self, and there is no right or wrong way um, to create art, in my opinion. Just doing it is what it takes.
Hmm.
That's it. Just do it and own it, and it has to feel good for you, and not worry about what it feels like to anyone else. Art is a therapeutic process.
Yes. And when you turn it into, for me personally, at least, when I've always dabbled in any type of art that I could touch. I have a small studio at home, and paint and pen work have really, where I spend a lot of my time. But I have like spent bullet casings. I'm like, I can do something with that, and
Mhm.
bones. I could do something with it.
Yeah.
I just see the potential in things.
Hmm.
And there came a time where I really was kind of shy about sharing my art because there are so many talented artists. And
Hmm.
again, in this community, there are so many
Yes.
talented artists. And that's amazing. But as somebody who is shy about that, it was kind of nerve-wracking to present my stuff. And so I had the
Hmm.
opportunity to present it to a local established art group. And they were like, yeah, absolutely. We'd love to have you join.
Hmm.
So if you could get some pieces ready for our Christmas sale. Whoa, hang on, pause. Selling the art, because I'm not there yet. I'm not ready. And it really became, if I had to do it because I was forced to do it, it
Hmm.
became more of work and technical difficulties. We figured it out, but thank you for your patience in that. So we left off talking about the art being forced and it really becoming a job. And obviously you have found a way to make art a job in a way that isn't labor to you, with the studio, and you have other artists who join you in the studio, is that correct?
That is correct. Yes. So there's another artist I'm working with right now. She teaches classes out of the studio. There's been a couple artists in the past that I've worked with that have taught through the business and through my studio. Um, Mostly, you know what I feel is important as an artist is having the space for other artists
Hmm.
to do that. When I first moved here, or when I first decided to open a studio in Isla Mirada, that was one of the first things as an artist. Like you kind of seek. You're not as a new artist. I didn't know where to go or where. I had a home studio or but just providing that space and having that for new creatives or emerging creatives or people who make this amazing art but have never displayed it before.
Hmm.
So I think not only am I creative, but then I also have like I had like a business part
Hmm.
of my brain that operates that um, kind of like even when I jumped into the industry, I just I feel a little bit of talent and a little bit of business savviness, merged those two together and just ran with it. Um, but even when I started to do events here, just little art markets, around the studio in San Mateo, I really only did that in an effort to provide a space for other artists to sell their creations and, meet other creatives. So
You provided what you really needed when you came.
correct. Yes. At the time, there wasn't much.
Right.
I landed here in around 2018,
Mhm.
and there wasn't much at all here. There was Gem City Cottage.
Mhm.
The wonderful ladies there.
Oh, they're
Oh
great.
gosh, they took me right in, and it was wonderful. So they let me put some art there, and I met them, and soon just opened the studio. And it's never easy to make a living as an artist. So of
Starving
course,
artist for a reason.
that is a real thing. So earlier in my art career, I would during the week, not only would I paint canvases, but I would cut down old palettes and sand them and paint them and prepare them to go sell on the weekends at
Mhm.
various tiki bars and venues throughout the Keys. It's just an easy way to, well, not easy, but a way to make quick money, and
Right.
as well as then do my canvas art and try to and sell that. And then I started teaching classes.
Like a sip and paint,
A sip
right?
and paint style class, yes. So real easy landscape painting, sunsets, things like that I
Mhm.
knew I could teach someone who's never painted before. And then that's what I continue to do to this day. I work as an art therapist as well. So I've been
Oh.
doing that for probably about 5 years now at various rehab centers throughout the state. It's part of what I travel and do.
Okay.
I do work for drug and alcohol rehab locally as well, and I've been doing art therapy there for about 3 years. And it's a remarkable program. And as we were mentioning earlier, art is a form of therapy, and it's a moment in time when you're delved into a painting or a creative process that the rest of the world just melts away.
Mhm.
And yoga, we try to keep our mind centered, but the thoughts are always coming and going. Whereas when you're delved into a painting, all you're concerned about is that painting, and it's really a remarkable experience. So it's important to me to continue to share that. I've since um, have some. I work with the city of Crescent City, and I run a nonprofit organization, a Florida Main Street organization that I um, jumped into because I believed in the potential of the downtown area of Crescent
Mhm.
City. And so, with my background, my professional background, and my creative background, I decided to take on that. So, in addition to the studio and running the studio, I've dedicated myself for the past couple of years of helping to revitalize downtown Crescent City. So, I've really put my heart and soul into this town,
Oh,
just because
you sure
I
have.
love it. I love it here, and I love what you're doing, and watching
Well,
you
thank
evolve
you.
too has been amazing. Since I think we met at a market at the San Mateo
We
studio
did.
years
We
ago.
did.
Yep.
Yeah, that triggers a lot of thoughts for me. The first one being, I'll kind of go linearly with what I was thinking. So the first that I love your studio. You still have the studio in San Mateo,
Nope.
or
Nope. I left there in November last
that's what
year.
I thought. Okay.
Hmm.
That is where we met, and I just was so enamored with the not only the art style, but just you as a person. Yeah, you could feel the passion for what
Hmm.
you were doing, and I love that you created that space. And to that, we also have evolved as a community with the arts group.
Oh
The
yes.
Gathering Artist of Putnam had the
Yes.
opportunity to meet with this Evelyn Snyder, and she's just fabulous. Her mom was unlike your background; she was very steeped in the art scene and has provided a place for our artists to display their artwork, sell their artwork, to gather, and in hopes of bringing it throughout downtown or
Hmm.
throughout Putnam County.
Yep.
And that really is something that you've accomplished in Crescent City with your studio. I had the opportunity during the blue or the Catfish
Catfish.
Festival.
Yep.
There we go. The Catfish Festival, to go in there, and oh my gosh, the yoga space is amazing. I was in there and they were doing a paint class,
Hmm.
and I mean, you've got artwork covering the walls.
Hmm.
It just really does, from an artist perspective, feel like a place to call home.
Hmm.
And you don't have to create art to appreciate art.
Right.
and you don't have to necessarily appreciate all arts because there's different strokes for different folks. And it is a collaborative space that you have over there. In addition to all of that, you've been able to bring that to the Main Street program, and I think it's wonderful. I've really seen Crescent City take this evolution. Um, yeah, I grew up in Pomona Park area with my grandmother and her sisters, and spent a lot of time in Crescent City. I've always thought, what a cute little town, and oh my gosh, they have rich history too, and
Ugh, it's amazing history, and that's what intrigued me about the town was, I mean, the beautiful historical homes and just
Mhm,
this desolate downtown between these two beautiful lakes, and
mhm.
there's just nothing going on there,
Well,
and
now,
and we're getting there. I work with a pretty amazing group of volunteers. The Main Street program is all volunteer based,
mhm.
and they're pretty dedicated and passionate about what they do. So it's nice to have a great team with the same vision, striving to just breathe some life back into the downtown, and you know, um, we do that through events. And me bringing my studio there again just kind of happened on accident. The space
Mhm.
became available, and I had some citizens reach out to ask if I would be interested in bringing the business to town.
Oh, wow.
And I loved the cottage. That was amazing, magical, creative space for me. And again, how I acquired the cottage and was able to rent that. I was there for 4.5 years, but I did kind of grow out of it in a way. It was
Yes, you
hard for people
did.
to pull in, and
Yeah.
um, parking was an issue. So nonetheless, I tried to balance both studios for a while, and it just didn't make sense to keep both of them open. And so
Mhm.
I just put all of it into Crescent City, and the space is beautiful. I could not ask for more. Amazing space, to
Yeah.
have a yoga studio, a dance studio, and then a whole separate side for visual arts is
Mhm.
it's a blessing, not only to me, but really that I can share it with the community. We
Mhm.
offer children's dance classes there on
Okay.
Fridays. There's an instructor that comes over from St. Augustine with the St. Augustine Dance Conservatory, and there's about an average of 50 little girls in and out every
50.
Friday.
Oh my, oh,
And so I
oh,
feel
they're so cute.
every time I see them running around in their little leotards, or if they peek their head around the corner, if I happen to be there, I'm like, okay, this makes it all worth it.
Oh my goodness. I would love to see that. Sorry about that.
Mhm.
And I think you're right across. Yeah, you're right across from that open field, right?
Yes, and that's
Okay.
where the downtown partnership hosts the Arts and Farmers Market.
Tell us about that.
So the Arts and Farmers Market's going on its third season. When I was hired from the city, one of the things I brought with me was I was already doing markets. I had the
Hmm.
vendor connections. I had the everything that I could. I just needed a space. So that was one thing, not only with my professional background, which of course was most important. I had this creative aspect and this event that I could bring with, and
Yeah.
it would only get better. Um, so every fourth Saturday of the month for a couple of years now, we have an average of anywhere from 30 to 50 vendors.
That's a
And
good number.
it is. I mean, sometimes, there's the hotter months. We decided, now we've learned we don't do it over the summer because a lot of vendors don't want to come out. It's
Mm-mm.
hot. A lot of
I don't want to
shoppers
go
don't want
out.
to come out. Well, and the volunteers don't either. I mean, they work endless. There's hundreds, if not thousands, now of hours logged. We keep track of all their hours and
Mhm.
stuff. But so the farmers market, yep, we have live music. It's from 9 to 2 every fourth Saturday, and it's hosted. That's not through my business, C-GypSeaArt. That's through the Crescent City Downtown Partnership,
Mhm.
and that's all. We run that through that organization, and
Mhm.
all of the proceeds support the continuing of that organization and the market, and it's great. We love it. It kicks back off again in September, and it's just a great way for the community to come together.
Yeah.
And we offer the children at the high school. Many times the high schoolers are there set up doing fundraisers. The volleyball team is there almost every market, and we welcome all our other civic organizations to come set up and either do a bake sale or whatever it is they may want to do, or sell their merchandise. And it's just a way really to bring the community together.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
Uh, I first of all, I didn't realize it had grown to 50, and the experience truly, I don't think sometimes people realize what all goes into these markets. When you go to whether it's the Blue Crab, the Catfish Festival, or just a small market comparatively, there are so many hours of blood, sweat, and tears that are behind the planners, the volunteers, the vendors.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of work, and the fact that you had all of that experience already really is amazing. But that you can expand teaching that to the community, to other organizations, and allowing them to participate. But it is really, if you go to one of those markets, you really have to have an appreciation. And if you don't, take a moment to watch the Blue Crab Festival, or talk to Christina for a few minutes. What I'm sure that the challenges that you face in that, you really take some time to overcome that and hone it. But how many people it takes to accomplish something like that.
And it's just continuous networking. It's
Hmm.
creating a rapport with most of the vendors. Some of them have been with vending events that I host since day one. The first event that they vended was at the San Mateo studio,
Hmm.
and they're still with from day one. And they're like old faithfuls, but some of them don't want to go vend other events. So it's almost like they're a little family. And
Yeah.
and just having that space, we have there's students from the high school that come now and have a vendor space and sell their artwork. There's another little girl that comes and sells all her bracelets that she makes. So,
Aw.
not only are we providing this space for adults to sell their crafts and their sourdough breads or their honey and whatever they may bring, but the children have a space too, which is I think that's incredible.
I have always wanted to do a youth market.
Yeah.
And I may have shared that with you in the past. Yeah, a farmers market and a youth market. First of all, our agricultural scene here. I mean, we have farms galore, and
Hmm.
people. I mean, there are apiaries, and there are people growing grapes and daddles. I mean, you name
Yeah.
it. So having a venue for people to share their goods, and often there are people who it started as a hobby and it's become a full-time job for them.
Yep.
But then to teach our youth about entrepreneurialism,
So important.
and just to help them understand that they can create and sustain from that,
Hmm.
even if it's a hustle,
Yep.
part-time
Yep.
side job, but teach them the business mind of
Yep.
that. Yeah, I think that that's a awesome way to develop our youth, and
Hmm.
let them, of course, go out and get their education, but
Yep.
bring it back and
Yep.
be part of a community. I think that's often a art that's not talked about enough itself, is the art of being a community.
Hmm.
So I love that you're doing that. What are some of the challenges that you've faced along the way, and how did you deal with those?
Um, Challenges. I, I don't really look at much as a challenge. I look at
Hmm.
it as a lesson. If something's a challenge, I ask myself, what do I need to learn from this? How do I
Great
get through
mindset.
this?
Yeah.
Um, I like a challenge. I
Hmm.
like a good challenge.
I'd say
Um,
so, considering you
I'm
started your own business twice.
Apparently. I would say, the main thing that sticks out over the past couple years, especially with helping with this downtown redevelopment, the biggest challenge is some negative online content and
Mm,
some local Facebook groups that don't always have the best things to say about town. And as someone that's working so diligently for the town, even prior to, I mean, not really working diligently for the town. I mean, in essence, I am, but that's not what drives me. I'm driven
right,
by my passion.
right.
Um, it just, I really wish some of them would just put on a volunteer vest or come out and help us with these
Mhm.
events and really know that what I'm doing and what the people that I work with are doing is just trying to better the community. And
Absolutely.
that's all we're doing. We're just regular people trying to work hard for a town we love.
Yeah.
So to
And a
see,
town you didn't even grow up in at that. You
yeah,
saw the beauty of it as somebody who's come through and have invested your time and effort
yeah.
into that. Yeah.
Certainly. I
Mhm.
mean, I really was at a point. I mean, or still am at a point in my life where I could, in essence, choose to live and play and be wherever I want to be, and I choose to be here and continue to share my passion and help in this manner. So it's discouraging when you see, and a lot of it I'm sure is politically driven or whatever the case may be. I don't know, and I don't. Um, I don't really try to pay too much attention to that. I just try to hone forward. But you asked about a challenge, and that's really the only thing I can think about because honestly, Putnam County has been nothing but a blessing for me, and I don't, I don't know.
Yeah, well, that's okay. I don't think that there's a right or wrong
Yeah.
answer to that, and it is. I think it's amazing that that's uh, not amazing that that's the challenge, but I think it's amazing that that's the challenge. You know what I mean? That I think that um, until back to the original statement, until you've gotten out there and you got your hands dirty, you don't really know someone's heart and their intent until you stood beside them. And I'm really sorry to hear because I do know how much hard work you put into that. That you have that negative feedback, but really, in every community, there's going to be a naysayer and there's going to be negative. Um, you know, it's different than constructive criticism. Hearing feedback that is necessary is always important. I talk with my hands, and I'm trying over here not to talk with my hands. That was constructive. That helps me better communicate. Hey, we'd like to hear more of this content. But if somebody's going on and saying, well, she's only focused on X, Y, Z, that would make me feel discouraged. And I've been blessed not to have that happen thus far, but there's going to be a time where there's going to be somebody with something negative to say, but I think you've handled it with grace, and I think that you have not let that hold you back. And you can see I hear more about Crescent City now than ever. And so whatever you guys are doing out there is benefiting it in a good way. And so I hope that those who maybe have questions or concerns or feel like this isn't, something isn't benefiting the community, to get out there and volunteer and really get your hands dirty and see, maybe it's a perspective issue. And I think asking questions is important and highlighting things that we all have a duty as community members to do that. But, it is a shame sometimes when people use social media or internet platforms to tear things down instead of going out there and helping.
They're spreading the positivity, and the negative, the challenge or this negativity online isn't towards my business, so to say, the C-GypSeaArt or any of that aspect. I believe it just stems from, it's just city stuff. I think every city goes through it in a way, and it just is what it is. But other than that, I like a challenge.
I feel that from you. Let's talk about Crescent City then. Let's spread some positivity. So the night market and the studio. I think a important component of a community is the health and wellness of the community members. So you're bringing art, you're bringing dance, you're bringing things to do. What other things is Crescent City working on that will further those efforts?
So we also are working on, of course, continuing to beautify our downtown. We've launched Arts in the Air program where there's art banners that hang on Central Avenue. Yes, we did a call to artists, and about 15 of them replied. They hand-painted banners, and the city hung them on Central Avenue.
I love that.
And then we did some sidewalk murals, we meaning the partnership, the downtown partnership, which is the Main Street organization. So there's a lot to that program. There's 4 different committees. Each committee is dedicated to a specific element of this Florida Main Street work plan. So there's a design committee which focuses on the aesthetics of downtown, and that's where the Arts in the Air banner projects come from. And there's a whole other work plan they're working on. We have an economic vitality committee which consists of people dedicated dedicated to helping revamp economic vitality, whether it's through socials and networking, engaging all of our businesses, and just continuing to brainstorm of how we can revive the businesses downtown and help the existing ones sustain, bring more. And then on that note, we have our promotions committee, which is promoting the downtown. And that's the committee that generates all of the events that, the Day of the Dead festival that you see this year, they'll be going on their third one, the second annual Cinco de Mayo festival. And of course, our staple is our farmers market every fourth Saturday, which have piggybacked on a cruise. And so our events are right now what bring people to downtown. A lot of newcomers will flow through and see the potential in Crescent City like we all do. And we have some new businesses in town. We have lots of property changing hands. So people are interested in purchasing property downtown and in bringing events downtown. We just had the Southern Outboard Drag Racing Association that brought a race to town. That was it was a lot of fun and brought people from all over, from different states to race their boats. So the partnership is working towards, we have to adhere to these certain, we report to Florida Main Street. So we just continue to work on the work plan. Each committee, again, has this work plan that has all different tasks and ideas and things that we're going to bring to life. And it's like balancing a bunch of plates that are spinning. There's an RV park coming to the end of town that at 60% capacity is projected to push around 200 people to our downtown area. So that permitting just went through on that, and they'll be breaking ground. So that's pretty big, as far as, we need people downtown to sustain these businesses. We're just marching forward on that and our cleanup efforts. The Florida Main Street organization works on, keeping the streets clean, the sidewalks clean, and it's such an amazing work plan that this Florida Main Street is, and we follow it all, and it's just just picking the low hanging fruit, meaning the cleaning up and bringing events. That's easy, and if we do those and sustain those, it's going to continue to draw or attract young entrepreneurs or people who might want to put another art studio or put a restaurant or retail, and it's all part of having a downtown.
Absolutely.
So
I think that if I were in Crescent City, I would love to be involved in that. Are there ways that we could, as community members, be supportive, not only in sharing, like obviously, and just like with the podcast or any other efforts to strengthen the community? I often ask you guys to please like, follow, subscribe, because it helps me get these kind of messages out to our community members. You may not, if you're going online, if I want to know about something, Google. That's where I'm going. I'm Googling it.
You don't go to Facebook?
Right, exactly. That's my second source. So if I can find something, Facebook's like my people Google. But it is so helpful when you're trying to spread the message, because a lot of people, and we're working on the platforms that our youth are on, Instagram, the TikTok has got some new rules in Florida. There are other ways that we are working to connect, and maybe I may not have the resource, but somebody else out there does. So always, if you hear a great message, please be sure that you go find them online and share with somebody you feel like might benefit that. But what are some other ways that we can assist you guys in this?
Just by helping advertise our events. I think when we chatted last time, that was really the main thing that stuck out to me. Marketing and advertising, and just helping us spread the good word and good vibes about South Putnam and Crescent City, and our beautiful town. It's really just a little hidden gem in Putnam, really. I love Palaca. Palaca made me fall in love with the area, and but there's just something charming about Crescent City.
Oh, I don't disagree. A lot of the podcast, especially the first month of episodes, we were really heavily focused on blue crab. And as I continue to interview people, we've got a lot of business owners or local entrepreneurs, leaders in Palaca. But I was very excited to have you with me because I do believe that there's a lot of Putnam County that has a lot to offer. There's Willaca, Interlochen,
Yes. Melrose.
Melrose, exactly, and they've got a big arts
Oh, I love
community over there.
Melrose.
And Putnam County is a lot bigger than you would realize.
Yep.
That I always said when I lived in San Mateo, Satsuma, that I had to make a trip to town, and it was a 20-30 minute drive, but I mean, it's a good hour. I would love to know that somebody who's much better at math or knows these facts, please drop a comment below. But how long the drive is from one end of Putnam to the other, I don't know that. Maybe that's something we'll cover on the podcast. We'll take a road trip in my trailer, but I would be very interested to see how long that takes because there are so many little pieces of this community, all with its own rich history and people who are wanting to develop and give back. I just ran into it. It was in Placa, but a local bookstore, and found a great little book on the Barden Booger. If you don't know about that, stay tuned. We're going to learn more about the Barden Booger in Putnam County. But again, it's just things that while Palaca is the center of this community in many ways, that there are so many other things outside of Palaca that are great. And I think that the work that you're doing down there, your team is doing down there, whether it be through the arts program, the Main Street program, really is lifting the community. And I'd be interested to know, often when I talk to some of the local business owners on Plaquemine Main Street, a lot of people who come are from out of town. Is that the case for you
As far as for
guys?
events?
Commerce, just regular foot traffic.
Yep, we have a lot of people come from out of town. We often survey at especially at our farmers markets, ask where they're from, and we get, Daytona, Palm Coast, anywhere as far as Tampa,
Wow.
Punta Gorda, that area, all over
Yeah.
Jacksonville. I mean, of course, and then our local people, our Willaca folks come out, and
Yeah.
I mean, we're the only downtown from Palaca to DeLand, so
Yeah.
I mean. It's a neat little stop for an event or a market or to shop. And on that note, we have a new eatery in town, and those owners are from Georgia, so they relocated here from Georgia to open the restaurant. And so we're excited. Again, there's interest in the downtown, and it's nice to see that. Although we want to keep the quaint vibe and keep Crescent City why we all love it. We can't afford to fill some of those vacant buildings and with some businesses and give some mom and pops a place to have their business.
Yeah, I think traveling downtown, that is what I'm most excited to see is these vacant buildings get filled. Even if it's just with art, it's great to come down here and look at the 200 block and see the art installation from the Gathering Artist of Putnam. But when I talk to the local business owners, as they say, Deputy's Addict is an antique store down here, and he's got a map in there, and people put pins, and really that map is way more covered than I expected it to be. So maybe somebody could put some pins down in Crescent City. That'd be cool to see.
That's a good idea.
In Putnam County. This is why we do the podcast, to come up with good ideas and spread the good word. But to know that we are attractive to other people outside of this community. We have something very special to offer. And you're right. I think a lot of the locals, self-included, love that we're like the hub of the wheel and all these spokes, Jacksonville, St. Augustine, Gainesville, the surrounding areas where it is a bit of a trek to get comparatively to get over there, but that we're close enough that it isn't super inconvenient. Between an hour and a half, you could be at a big city, but you could come home to something where you could talk to somebody on the riverfront with coffee, and you could have a art festival or whatever that might be, and really know your neighbors. So I'm just so grateful that you've chosen to invest your efforts here, your passion here. I'm thankful that you've had these interactions with the local community members, and they've inspired you to do that. And with every challenge, we learn something. Like you said, it's an opportunity for learning. So if you're watching and you want to be involved, whether it be with the arts program, with Christina's studio, whether it be with developing Crescent City, or you just want to check it out, be sure to check out the links below. We'll make sure that we put them all in here. Again, I'm just so happy that we've had the opportunity to talk, and I'm gonna have to go down and check out the banners. I'm super excited about that. Art in the air is what you called it.
Yes.
Oh
Arts
man,
in the air.
arts in the air. I dig that. And I look forward to catching up with you in maybe a year or two, and just checking in and seeing what's going on with Crescent City. But until our next episode, thank you for being a guest, and we look forward to seeing you guys soon.
Thank you, Lara. Thank you for all you do.
Oh, thank you.